Robin.
Yes, you are.
Everything we do is about words. We speak, and the words are what make a difference, right?
Exactly.
Our guests usually have written books, and the words are what make a difference, right? So when I see a word I don't know, I like to pretend I've seen it before, but I haven't seen this one before, so I'll just be honest. The Exigent Earth. I may be mispronouncing it, but that is the title of our next guest's book. He is Dr. Murray Rosenthal. He's a board-certified psychiatrist, a researcher, a world adventurer. See, I do work in words. Doesn't mean I can pronounce them all. He mentors young entrepreneurs in the medical arena, and his book, The Exigent Earth, he's going to correct the pronunciation, recently placed on the endangered species list. Humans, Robin, you and me.
That's right.
Let's find out about this. Dr. Rosenthal, good morning. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Good. It's my pleasure. Thanks, Larry and Robert.
And where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am looking out at sunrise over beautiful Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. So what is the word? How do you say it? What does it mean?
You said it properly. It's exigent, means something that's urgent or pressing.
And Earth is exigent. So is the book is a novel, but are you making a culture or a social statement in the book?
You said something very important at the beginning of the segment. You talked about words. And one of the things we've enjoyed doing over the last 30 years is traveling to primitive cultures. And they actually pass information on, not so much by the written word, but by telling stories. And we all love stories. I mean, that's why we go to movies, why we read books.
I know.
And what we don't like is to be preached to. So what I hope,
Right.
well, we don't. You know, it's like what happens when you try to preach to a kid. But when you tell people stories, you can get your point across while entertaining, and they think about the story, and that's what you want.
Absolutely, I think that's one of the tricks of the Bible. It's filled with stories that are intended, I guess, to leave a lasting lesson for those who read it.
And the beauty of the Bible is each individual gets to bring that story in their heart, think about it in their own way, and it's open to interpretation. There are people that interpret literally and people that just look for meaning in their own lives and reflect it into the story.
So does the warning that we might be almost extinct or soon extinct come with a if we don't message? Like we will be extinct if we don't fill in the blank?
Well, part of our adventure in the last many years has been sailing 2/3 of the way around the world. And we spent about 3.5 years doing it. And I can tell you that we saw changes just in that short period of time. And we're now seeing things accelerate in the poles and in other places. I could tell you story after story.
Tell me some of the things you've seen. I would like to know.
Well, we used to explore the South Pacific, and at one point we came upon longliners that stretched on for miles. These are fishing boats that scoop fish up out of the ocean. They turned their transponders and their lights off, and they were just raping the ocean, taking much more fish out than the average fisherman. And that's why then when local fishermen go out, they can't catch fish because they've been gobbled up. We in the West have really made an attempt to start to deal with our environment. But 2/3 of the world is really primitive, and they're still dumping garbage and trash into the ocean. And because we provided them with plastics and we haven't explained to them that these plastics don't break down, they're on their beaches and they're clogging their waterways.
Oh my gosh, I had never thought of it that way before. Yeah, we do hear the message all the time, but you're right. I mean, people who are benefiting from the things that they sell will definitely sell to anybody and everybody, right?
Absolutely. I don't know if you heard it, but just yesterday or the day before, there was an article about the deepest trench in the ocean. When they brought up some of the animals, they had pieces of plastic inside of them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is an issue we need to. So part of the message is, while we're getting the message here, but there are other people who may not be getting the message, and I don't know if that's intentional, but it seems like it's part of the problem.
Well, Larry, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The way I describe it is, you know how like you're supposed to put things away in your home and they pile up, and all of a sudden,
Right.
a simple task seems overwhelming. Well, we as people can't allow ourselves to feel overwhelmed. We have to feel like we're active participants, and that nobody's going to do it for us.
So I want you to talk about the book, because this is we do want to make sure we sell the book, or help you sell the book. So who is Zach Sparkman? Tell me who Zach Sparkman is.
So Zach is the prodigy child of two scientists, and he's the main protagonist. And he has a guy who is a Native American shaman, a woman, who guides him throughout his life. And he's born under unusual circumstances. I'm not going to give that away, but he ends up having some talents and powers that he doesn't quite understand. And the story follows and tracks through his life. And at one point, he becomes a very distinguished scientist. And through some more existential issues, becomes a spokesperson for Earth. And he gets accused, instead of being a spokesperson, of causing some of the things he's reporting on. And the story really is the story of his travel through the next 30 or 40 years, as we're supposed to see a lot of changes, and how those changes impact mankind, how he deals with them. And the story leaves you at the end. It doesn't preach to you. It's not a tidy little Hollywood ending. The story ends with you having to think about where he is and where you are.
Well, you know what? Whenever we have one of the conversations with somebody who's talking about the environment and the things we can do to make a better place, I often think, well, what could I do? And I'm not trying to cop out and give you some kind of a hokey, corny reaction. Well, what can I do? That kind of thing. But I often wonder, what can I do? I often wonder, what can I do? I mean, I am probably on the low end of everything. I mean, I have one 60-watt light bulb going. You know, I don't drive that far to work, and I have a pretty efficient car. And but I'm not even intentionally doing it. That's just me. It seems like the bigger culprits are the people who are preaching to us. Sometimes I think that I hear from the government, and they're the ones with the big houses and the big airplanes.
And they're the ones that can make the laws that cause us to either clean up or not clean up our waterways. And more recently, many people are not aware, they've loosened the laws that allow corporations to dump into some of the tributaries that lead into our main waterways. One reason I'm here at Lake Tahoe is this is one of the cleanest large bodies of water in the U.S. You can see 75 feet down into the water.
Nice.
And wildlife abounds. I mean, the water's clean. We drink right out of the lake. It's a beautiful example of thousands of people that rim the lake, all being aware and taking care of the lake.
I like that.
And your novel is filled with intrigue, though, because Zach becomes a detective, so he can explore his past and apply it to the present and the future. So it really does keep you on the edge of your seat at times.
And there are characters that come in and out that you think have disappeared from his life, and then suddenly they play an important role.
Exactly.
Right, Robin?
Exactly.
So are the bad guys in your story the same bad guys that we hear in the political news?
Yep.
You know what?
Why reinvent a bad guy?
All right. So the one thing I wanted to tell you is in New York. I don't know if you're familiar with. There's a little river called the Bronx River, not to be confused with the Harlem River, but the Bronx River used to be unbelievably dirty. And what changed it wasn't government. It was the local NAACP, the local Girl Scouts. I can't remember the different organizations that got together and said, we got to fix this river. And now people are canoeing out of it. I wouldn't say you could drink out of it, but it looks nice. Anyway, it's a big improvement.
So you just said something very critical, Larry. Think globally, act locally. And that's how it starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that was on a John Lennon album, wasn't it?
I know. Well, hey, listen, I didn't say it was original.
And you do have keen observations about the Earth taking care of herself. So, I mean, you really are insightful, and it is a wonderful, thought-provoking read.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the conversation. I wish we could have spoken more. I know we're at the end. All right, I found the book on Amazon. I think I have a copy here. If I have a listener who would like it, call me. I'll pick up a call at random. You got 19 5-star reviews. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Including the Detroit Free Press. And there is a website, exigentearth.com.
Very good. EX, right?
Yes, EX.
IGENT.
Yeah, EXIGENT. Thank you. All right, let me give the book away real quickly. Good morning. You've got the book. Who's this?
This is Sonny.
Sonny, you got it. It'll be coming to you. I mean, it'll be here. It'll be waiting for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And yes, if you had the time, I could tell you a little story. But anyway, thanks again for what you're doing.
All right. And thank you.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you. Dr. Rosenthal, thank you for what you're doing. I think you are making a difference. I think it was a smart move to make it a novel.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, and appreciate being on.
And my brain is now has one new word in it: exigent.
Yes.
we'll be right back.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. A bill to make texting while driving a primary offense in Florida